Okay, Thursday, 22nd of August, 2024. So Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Thoughtful Thursday. Philosophy and the musings from life. So Occam's razor and you, the simplest path. So there's this nice little saying that says, "Don't attribute to malice what could be attributed to incompetency." Nice little axiom of life. Good thing to remember. So Occam's razor talks about whatever could be the simplest explanation, the simplest route, the simplest answer to something might indeed be the case, in a sense of path of least resistance, in a sense of not overcomplicating things. That's important. In a case of what could be the simplest thing and probably most likeliest of explanation. Oh, I just forgot. Oh, it didn't, it wasn't important to me. That. I think sometimes in life, indeed, the simplest solution on the balance of probability is indeed, quite likely, possibly, probably, the correct one. The thing that's the simplest explanation is indeed correct. That's the thing. Because you see, the opposite of this is overcomplicating things. And that's something I kind of instinctually and technically try to avoid. I try to avoid overcomplicating things because life is not always like that. Life is, I did a video about this, or life is complicated, don't be narcissistic. But by overcomplicating things, we risk muddying the water, we risk forgetting the key principles of what we're doing or what we're working on. So, for example, me and someone I know, we are studying a similar same subject. And I noticed that in the research and findings we come to, the conclusions, there's other people out there who I am very, very, very certain and sure they are not studying the same source as we are, and yet they are getting they're getting the results that they want and what we may want. So I'm thinking, are we overcomplicating this thing? If we want that, and someone else has the same thing as well, and yet we're studying this and learning in concepts and principles which are fine in and of themselves, but are we overcomplicating it? Occam's razor. What's the simplest way? What's the simplest way to achieve that which they have, which we're studying towards? Well, it's this and that and that and this. Fair enough. So I always think then, am I overcomplicating something? What's the simplest way to achieve X or Y or Z? Then the chances are, within reason, should be doing that in order to achieve that thing, to achieve that result. I think a lot of people could also be misconstruing a lot of things that are happening out there in the world, attributing it, like I said at the start, to malice, to bad intentions, when actually, as a matter of fact, the simplest solution would be, well, it's aligned incentives, people have the same ideas, the same goals, that are incidentally working together to achieve something. Or that just made sense. Or why didn't he do this or that or that or this? Well, he just might have forgotten. Or he just didn't want to. Because I think the longer the excuse or the explanation it is to something, the less likely it is, because it means more and more things in the world need lining up together. And I think there's a nice concept that I kind of coined, which is layers of entropy. That for every kind of action that happens in the world, there are countless layers of entropy fighting against it, directly, indirectly, via proxy and beyond. So even standing up, you're fighting against the whole Earth's gravity by being stood up. You're fighting against entropy in the heart and burning of calories and having to breathe to be standing, and entropy of the muscles, minuscule amounts of decay happening there at absolute microscopic levels just to stand up. And that's a simple excuse, a simple example even. Imagine walking where it's controlled falling, layers of entropy there. And there's all kinds of things happening here and there in the world. And I think to look at it as simple as possible, getting down to the first principles as to why something is or is not happening, or why this or why that. Looking at the simplest form, Occam's razor, and that on the balance of probability. Oh, why was he late to the party? Well, he was lazy. Not because of some complex, lazy this and that and that and this and this and this and that and that and this and this, adjective here, nouns there, adverbs here and there. Less likely. Again, the longer more complex the excuse is, the possibly, logically speaking, the less likely it is to be. Because again, there's so many things that need to be aligned, and yet each of those would have countless levels and layers of entropy acting against it, pushing it back, and resisting against it. So I think there's some credence really in life to not overcomplicating things and finding the simplest solution to something. Certainly in business, certainly in life, certainly in whatever else, money making. We want to try and find the simplest way, which is what's called in business MVP, minimal viable product. If this thing over here and this thing over there works together, the minimal bare bones thing, if that works, then we have a business. Scale it, grow it, focus on it. Perfect. If it works, focus on it more. And that's something to consider. And also, when we look at the simplest forms, we are looking at the first principles of something. A nice little strategy I like to do is ask ChatGPT, what are 10 first principles of this or that or this or this? And it tells me the core, most simplest axioms, rules of life, rules of the universe to understand and remember. And then from those principles, those simplest rules to understand, we can build upon them and create other things and come to other logical conclusions and reason based on them. This is powerful, powerful stuff. But yes, Occam's razor, simplicity, and you. Yes, but Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. You will see me tomorrow.